Hey guys, Banana Lock here. Welcome back to another Watcher of Realms video. We have two new units that popped up on test server this weekend, and we'll be taking a look at both of these units. One of them is someone that we've been asking about for the longest time. I don't even know when the leaks first came out for this guy, but yeah, he's finally here, and that's going to be Guan Yu and Sergei. So both units are pretty niche, I would say. And the first unit we're going to be looking at is going to be Sergei. And yeah, one is very specific for Arena, the other one is very specific for Matrix, but of course we'll do more testing and see if we'll be using them in any other areas of the game. Now, Sergei is a Nightmare Chaotic Fighter, and I don't think we have many of those combinations. If we take a look, actually we do have quite a bit. I think all the fighters that are in Chaotic, we have Lugaru, if I'm not wrong. And then we also have Valeria, Admiral Claw, Giselle. So yeah, I think it's not common to have one with very high base stats for sure, because Sergei does have pretty high base attack compared to all these guys here. And yeah, let's have a quick look without further ado. So 26k HP, that's actually pretty high on the list as well. Not as high as Wukong, I believe, but almost there. And it's 6.2k attack, and the fact that this guy is in the Chaotic faction means that the attack could be a lot higher than what we see at the moment here. And yeah, range-wise, it is pretty decent. You can see there's a 3-tower range forward. So you can definitely put him behind a tank. You can also put him in a scenario where, he can be sitting away from like the AoE mages in specifically, what do you call that? Specifically in GVG. And then I think another area that might be interesting is Malriks Trials for the, what do you call it? The Inquisitors that are spawning up top. That's because of some of the skill kit that he has where there's some dodge and unyielding involved, we should take a look at in a bit. So yeah, let's take a look at his talent. So first of all, gains 1 stack of T every 15 seconds. Doesn't say what it does here. Stacks up to 6 times, and when deployed, he immediately gains 4 stacks. And when HP drops below 65%, reduces the interval for gaining T by 3 seconds and reduces damage taken by 50%. And each cast of the ultimate increases damage by 75% for 6 seconds, which tells you, or rather hints at you for a bit, that this guy wants to do as many ultimates as possible. Now, passive deals 120% physical damage to one enemy target in range, 20% chance to trigger 2 consecutive strikes instead, and causes HP drain equal to 10% of current HP of the hero. So this is just some inbuilt kit on his own to reduce HP, and it is very important. As you can see, Uridin is one of those units that doesn't have any way to reduce his own HP, and as a result, he is pretty bad. So this one is inbuilt in the basic kit. And then Dark Delusion, the first passive, when taking direct damage, gains a shield equal to 40% of the heroes for 15 seconds. This can be triggered up to 1 time every 5 seconds, and the shield stacks up to 80% of his attack, which means that the shield can stack up twice basically. And the shield only lasts for 15 seconds, so yeah, I think that sounds about right. So that's decent, especially for when you run him in a chaotic team. I think this could work out pretty fine. And second passive, after casting the ultimate, reduces damage taken from enemies to 1 for 2 seconds. When taking fatal damage, consumes 2 stacks of T to negate this damage, then immediately casts the ultimate and gains a shield equal to 50% of attack for 10 seconds. I do wonder if this stacks with the other passive. If so, he can be pretty tanky in some niche scenarios where you can't have a healer on him. And this effect can only be triggered 1 time every 30 seconds, which means that every 30 seconds, this guy basically gets unyielding on its own. And an arena cost reduced by 5, which already tells you where this guy is going to be used for sure. Now, ultimate Causes HP drain equal to 10% of current HP to the hero, and then gives debuff immunity for 6 seconds. Deals 700% physical damage that ignores 50% defense to one enemy target in range 1 time. And if there are 2 or more stacks of T, consumes 2 stacks of T and restores full rage. So you can see, where does the AoE damage come here? The single target damage goes up to 700%. I don't see where the AoE damage comes. Am I blind or something? Yeah. Why am I not seeing any AoE damage in here at all? But there's AoE damage in the kit. Maybe let's look at the base unit. That might look a bit different. The blue guy. Yeah, I'm actually not sure why it talks about AoE damage because there's no mention of it anywhere. It could be that this strike has AoE damage inbuilt in it as well. We'll see it when we do the testing. This is ultimate for you. And you can see this is where we get the consecutive ultimates. He can gain up to 6 stacks of ki. So he can cast his ultimate 4 times consecutively basically. And then if let's say you have him prop the unyielding, it just consumes 2 stacks. So it doesn't consume more than usual as well. And what else does it give? Ki, T. What do you want to call that? No, I think that's basically it. So very interesting kit. And then now we have a look at his awakenings. A1, when taking direct damage from enemies, immediately gains 1 stack of ki, and then increases attack by 20% for 15 seconds, can be triggered up to 1 time every 12 seconds. So if you get him taking direct damage consecutively, you could basically keep up the 20% attack at all times. And yeah, that's pretty nice. And that's tied to the ultimate for some reason. Interesting. A2, that's flat attack. Always nice for a unit like this. A3, the ultimate deals extra 50% damage 1 time and executes the enemies with HP below 20%. So, interesting that they have 1 more hit. I don't really understand why they don't want to just increase the damage to 750 instead. Also executes enemies with HP below 20%. I don't think this will work in Arena because all the big mobs in wave 7 to 9 are all considered elites. But maybe it'll be useful in like Malriks. That's where I'm thinking because I really think he will be a perfect unit for the Inquisitors. But yeah, that's interesting. And then A4 penetration, and then A5 each time ki is consumed grants single target damage increase of 15% to the hero and 2 ally targets with the highest attack within 212 for 10 seconds. I mean, it's pretty obvious where this is going to. We know that Count Dracula does damage increase, but this guy gives single target damage increase. So that's another buff altogether, and I think this could be the next upper limit when it comes to arena metas, especially in single target. But A5 is a pretty unattainable awakening if we just look at him, because he is Chaotic Nightmare, which means that he's probably going to be Ancient exclusive. So interesting awakenings. I would think that A1 is the one that gives quite a bit of utility. I imagine that Arena, this basically gives him the upper hand compared to say something like Wukong. And then A5, that's very, very nice, but it is going to be pretty unattainable considering that there's no non-lot PD. Now, he does not have any exclusive artifact. I've checked this. They didn't give us any. Normally when a new hero gets an exclusive artifact, we will see it. And he also doesn't have any exclusive gear. So yeah, that's Sergei. I do feel at this moment that I can see only 3 places for him. That's going to be Abyss, single target arena, and then Malriks. When it comes to other content, Gear 1, 2, or 3, not really. He could potentially be useful in, say, Gear Dungeon as well. We need to test that out because he does have a pretty unique kit where there's quite a bit of survivability, and also the fact that he can burst his ultimate up to 4 times if he builds up the stacks. I think based on normal hits alone, it doesn't look like he's going to do much damage. I think a lot of the damage is going to come from the ultimate itself, especially when you are able to keep up the 75% damage increase by consecutively casting his ultimates. So yeah, we're going to be testing him out in a bit, and yeah, let's get into that without further ado. Alright, so first place we're gonna test out Sergei in is gonna be in Abyss, which I don't think is the best place to actually use him. We'll let the results show because the damage doesn't lie, and obviously I don't find him suitable here because the damage is just not quite there yet. Now we're running the same usual team that we do, but instead of using Moradin, we're replacing him with Sergei. And that is where you're gonna see the damage differences coming in. And yeah, let's just get into that before we comment on the rest. I think one weird thing that I found as well is that I can't seem to see the 75% damage increase that he gets upon doing his ultimate. Like that just doesn't seem to be working in here at all. It could be that I've mistaken it to work a different manner. It could be that it only is supposed to work in his ultimate in terms of the damage boost. Later I'll show you guys how the damage increase just doesn't seem to show up at all when we are doing the test. You can see here he gets 3 ultimates in a row. Maybe he'll get 4, we'll see. No. You can see there's no damage buff even though it's supposed to last for 6 seconds. So yeah, that's kind of odd. And you can see that damage is also not the best considering that he didn't do any, didn't have to do anything to the shields. He was focusing his damage just solely on the down phase. And even then we're seeing quite poor numbers coming out from him. I mean, Raiga has overtaken him at this point. That just shows you how lackluster it is. The good thing is that he is able to survive the Meteoric Deluge pretty well. He tanks it much better than I think even Kigiri. But anything beyond that, yeah, I don't really trust him for it. So that's the unfortunate thing. Now we're gonna see if we can get one more Numera ultimate. It doesn't look like it. We're just gonna pop the Kigiri ultimate instead. And the Numera ultimate here. Let's get on with it. And see the key stacks aren't gonna be quite enough to let us cast the ultimate. So we're just gonna do things old-fashioned way and wait for the, phase to start before we do everything else. Shield. Don't have to do anything here. It is quite hard to do his ultimate consecutively as well. Alright, so now we go into the second magic phase and you can see Sergei's damage is even lower than Raiga, which is definitely not looking great at the moment. And I get the Drix Battle here. So we're gonna cast the Alien ultimate only after that, just to keep these units alive. I'm gonna get the Raiga ultimate shortly here. There we go. So Raiga's ultimate. I'm gonna get the Kikiri block here, followed by Sergei's. There we go. So everyone survives. And now we just go through the magic phase. Hopefully we can get Numera ultimate up in time, because we do need it to break the shield. They don't have the best build on these units here. Okay, so we're approaching 50k here. There we go. And we're gonna want to keep Sergei's ultimates for the full shield stacks, because I believe that's the best way to do it. Get the Drake's Bellow here. And then we're just gonna swap into the healing stance here, just in case these units die. Yeah, I don't have the best healing gear as well. Everything here in terms of gear is just not optimal. Okay, now we're gonna get the Numera out in time as well. Perfect Kigiri parry. I'm gonna do Sergei's ultimate 4 times here. Hopefully that gives us enough damage to cut through. It does. And yeah, the shield breaks. Honestly, Morden could do that as well. I mean, Astro can do that nowadays too, so yeah, I'm not too impressed with that. So now I'm gonna get Numera's ultimate. And we're just gonna cast the ultimates here as well. Spawn Wukong and Kigiri, just to max out the heals on the rest of these units. And yeah, you can see there, units are starting to die. That's just the way things are. And yeah, I think we're not gonna survive through that. Now, if we just pause and take a look at damage here, I mean, we did manage to clear Abyss, 60k, but this is honestly not the best score. We have Sergei only at 54 million damage, and you can see that even Ryga is doing better in this instance, and I don't have him in bad gear either. We have him in Sober Arcana, and he just isn't doing as much damage as we would like him to do. And then we have even Vaughn at A0 doing way more damage. Similarly with, okay, this one is A5, A5, so obviously they should be doing more, but yeah. I really don't think Abyss is where you want to use Sergei, but I guess if you really don't have any other units, he could fit in pretty well here. He can also tank through the Meteors pretty easily because he just negates damage to 1 when he casts his ultimate for 2 seconds. And that is basically how long the Meteor lasts for, so yeah. You can see here, gear-wise, it's not too shabby, but surprisingly, he is doing the worst in terms of damage. We even have him on Shadow Healed. So yeah, that's the Abyss test. Now let's take a look at the other aspects where, you know, we'll see him hopefully be more useful. Alright, so one of the places we're going to try out Sergei in, as I mentioned, is going to be in Malriks Trials. And specifically, we want to try him out as the top left-hand replacement. So instead of running Moradin, we're going to run Sergei instead and see if he can actually self-sustain throughout the entire run, because he has shields as well as the damage reduction upon his ultimate. And I think in Malriks Trial, this is one of the areas where he can actually charge up for quite a bit. So let's have a look and see what we can do. Doing the reset next. And I'm going to shift Moradin to the top here because there is the skeleton archers, which I'm a bit concerned about. Let's see if this helps.
Let's see them move a mountain.
And then we'll just do Count Dracula here. And next we can actually put in Sergei. I should probably put Count Dracula at the back, because otherwise I think he will HP drain Sergei there, which is not optimal. Let's shift him over. I'll just use Moradin to help out there for a bit. Because yeah, Count Dracula's not going to come back anytime. And let's disable Sergei's auto ultimate so that I can time blast that he does there. Right, so Inquisitors are starting to spawn here. Let's see if he can actually tank some hits. As expected, he isn't gonna do much damage here because you don't have the chaotic buff just yet. I can probably finish him off, yeah, with the blast there. You can see we still have quite a lot of stacks of key left. And yeah, he isn't quite dead as well. I don't think that Moradin gave him some regen there, so we're gonna shift him away in a bit. And then let's see how that works out. You can even pop 2 consecutive ultimates. And then that's gonna also help in terms of clearing the Inquisitors quickly. And then on top of that, he's probably gonna gain these stacks back before the next one spawns as well. We have 2 more here. Pop 1 ultimate. Second one. Probably need A1 to keep up these stacks constantly. Because at A1 he does gain 1 stack of key immediately after he takes damage. So let's pop the ultimate to reduce damage. Yeah. Fine. He does decently well, and we haven't even had to pop his unyielding yet. When we do pop the unyielding, probably gonna get more shields as well as an instant ultimate class there. So thankfully the skeleton archers are spawning bot, we didn't have to deploy Moradin top yet. Let's pop another ultimate. Then another one. You can see the Inquisitor just dies there. I mean, worst case scenario, he can just take a few hits as well, because we do have to bear in mind this is a level 3. Level 3 Malriks. Yeah, last one. Yeah. Let's see the shields just tanking through the hits. You also have to remember that when he is below 65% HP, he gets 50% damage reduction. So everything in that sense just helps out in terms of the DPS. And now let's put down Moradin. And yeah, we'll just try to kill off this Scotch Devourer. Okay, now let's just let him take his normal hits, and we'll see if he actually procs the unyielding, or how long it takes for him to do so. Okay, the shield is self-sustaining him quite a bit. He isn't even dropping below the HP threshold. Maybe he'll drop in a bit here. No, the shields just keep coming back here. I can't even get to show you guys how the unyielding works because yeah, just so much shields coming out from him there. And the last wave here, let's see if you can try to proc his unyielding again. Because I want to see in action. Gets the shield back. Maybe this one. Yep, there you go. That's the unyielding, and you can see he gets a much larger shield than what we had previously. And yeah, probably have to prop the ultimate here. The shields. Another ultimate to finish it off. So yeah, that's Sergei in Malriks Trial. I mean, he's not doing much damage here, but all that matters here really is that he's able to self-sustain and last through the entire fight without a healer supporting him. And the best thing about all this is that he does benefit from the fact that his HP is low. The only thing I'll be concerned about is like using him in modifiers like Miasma, as well as with Irada, where they do the map wide hits. Those are going to be a lot tougher. There's also the very specific ones like Baron with the 2x range on his Whirlwind Spin. So those are the few instances where Sergei might not be as good as Moradin. I think Moradin is still the best unit for this. He is Esotericist as well, and Sergei is Chaotic, so faction-wise they both synergize well. But Sergei at the moment just does really well against, the Inquisitors because of the shields, the sustain, as well as the burst damage that he can provide. So yeah, that's Sergei for Malriks, and even at A0 he's doing just fine. Now let's take a look at other bits of content. Alright, so we're back to the last test for Sergei, and that's going to be in Arena. The caveat here is that Arena is still not fixed on test server, so what we might have discovered here might not work on live. And I have given the feedback to the devs to once again fix the Arena playtest in test server. And I think one big thing is that the mobs doesn't seem to have been adjusted after the last few buffs we had to Arena mobs. And also we do not get anyone playing here, so the Apex and Overlord boost that you get on the mobs don't actually apply in this particular test. So just make sure you think of that before making any assessment. So we are going to be going up against the traditional single target Arena team. We have everything A5 here. And we're going to be doing A3 Valdi, A3 Count Dracula, as well as A1 Citra and Sergei. The A1 on Sergei is very important to sort of make this work because he gains way more stacks of ki, and that actually allows him to do more consistent ultimates since he's going to be our frontline tank for this particular run. So let's get in and show you guys how it's done. And see, this team is on 600 kbp, so it might be pretty hard to go against as well in live server where the mobs are a lot stronger. But for now, we're just gonna do this and see how it goes. You can see, first of all, we are already doing something slightly different in terms of the deployment. Instead of having Balderon first, we're gonna try Sergei instead. And there you go. So you can see the ultimate refreshing there. And over here, we will be able to get another ultimate off. And yeah, that's going to kill off the mob instantly. And the enemy is going to lag behind a bit for the slow start that we got earlier. So it sort of equalizes itself sooner or later in that way. And we're going to get one hit on Sergei here, which is where we'll cast the ultimate. And we'll do the ultimate here as well. One more ultimate there, and you can see that clears out the mobs pretty quickly. And we're gonna get another set of mobs here, but we should be able to deal with this even without Sergei's ultimate or anything. And now we just wait for this last mob to come out. Can do Valdi here. We are going to be slightly slower there because we don't have Count Dracula's ultimate. That's the problem of not having Earlis as well. You will see it even more obvious in the later rounds. Here is where we'll cast Count Dracula's ultimate. Some damage going out. I probably casted Dracula's ultimate a bit later. But yeah, we still won that round there. And it would have been a more clear-cut win if we got that out earlier.
It seems you've got your eyes on me.
Now we're just gonna let Sergei do a few of these normal hits. Go. I'm gonna do Cytra's ultimate as well as Sergei's, and that should clear out the wave a lot earlier than the enemy. I think the enemy is, yeah, slightly slow on this run as well. Now, we're gonna have Valdi's ultimate, so we're gonna pop it here. You can see that's the unyielding coming in.
Flesh of my flesh, blood of my blood.
My prayers will guide you.
Then we should be able to get another Sergei ultimate here, along with Count Dracula's ultimate, and yeah, we're still gonna widen that gap.
It seems you've got your eyes on me. My prayers will guide you.
So you have Cytra clearing out that mob for us there.
My prayers will guide you.
And that's the unyielding proccing again.
My flesh, blood of my blood. The floor, convert, destroy.
And now we get the Count Dracula's ultimate. Pop this as well. And yeah, slightly slower on the run there.
My prayers.
But that is also to do with the fact that that Dracula is A5. You can see beyond that, we are able to survive this pretty well. We're gonna pop Valdi's ultimate here. And that's the unyielding proccing once more.
Prayers will guide you.
And here we're gonna proc the ultimate to take advantage of the damage limiter. Count Dracula's ultimate. Another Sergei ultimate, and then here we can pop Cytra
On me.
just for extra insurance. And we're just gonna pop the Sergei ultimate here, and yeah, you can see that before Wukong even gets in range, we're gonna get another hit off. Now, this strategy is really risky. It does rely a lot on the skill kit of Sergei to work out. We will take a look at that briefly. You can see here damage-wise, Sergei is doing pretty decently. Valdi is not actually doing as much damage because both of them are not gaining as many stacks. You don't actually get them to do their ultimates as much since you don't have Erlis in the mix. Now, we could probably squeeze Erlis in here and use Sergei as the tank instead too. That might result in a better outcome as well, but this is the team that I found to work at least for now. And the reason why all of this works out is because Sergei has a few things in his kit to help out. So this is the unyielding we're talking about. We're taking fatal damage, consumes two stacks of T to actually negate the damage, cast his ultimate, gain a shield, and yeah, every time he casts his ultimate, he gets that damage reduction to 1 for 2 seconds. That's also why sometimes we're casting his ultimate in between waves, is to keep him alive. And then there's also the combination of the shields and everything that does help out quite a bit. And I did find that having him on some HP subs does help because the shields that he gets will be a lot stronger than what we have originally. Now, when this comes to global, I'm pretty sure people will find better ways to run him, but this is just the way that, you know, we found him to work really well in. And I mentioned just now as well, A1 is a really big one because to get that constant round of repeated ultimates, you definitely need the A1, where every time he takes direct damage, he's going to gain 1 stack of T, and then that's going to also increase attack for 20% for 15 seconds, which helps out a lot, especially when you're casting his ultimate consecutively in the last few seconds, because the increase in attack is actually for 15 seconds. You could, in an ideal scenario, actually kick this up for like 4 ultimates in a row, which gives him 20% extra attack for that 60 seconds straight. So yeah, that's pretty much the arena showcase. I did have him in Soba Arcana. The rest of the units, the gear is not too fantastic. It's nothing too crazy. So yeah, if let's say you have better gear than this, probably gonna be able to pull this much better off. In fact, my Dracula's gear is not even optimal because normally you want to build him in crit damage as well as attack speed. I think all those will actually play a part in the more grand scheme of things, especially with the rich regen. It's gonna make the run a lot smoother in the hiccups that we had in the first few rounds. So yeah. Alright, so on top of testing Sergei in that weird quirky lineup where we had him used as a tank, we're also gonna try him out in a traditional team like we have over here. So we are still gonna run Sergei at A1 because I think that is a very big awakening. And then we'll see how this one goes. It is definitely going to be much more stable and can definitely go up against Wukong if you build Sergei with enough HP. In fact, I think he might get away with lesser HP because he has shields in his kit as well. But I am going to do things a bit differently by placing Sergei down first instead. And we'll see if we can actually get an upper hand this time around across all the different waves. So Sergei down first. Whoops, a bit late there. Just restart. Because I think the burst on the second wave is just way too good. Where he manages to get consecutive ultimates out. We're definitely gonna lose the first wave here. Go. Switch stance here. And we are gonna be able to get 2 consecutive ultimates to clear out that wave very quickly. And yeah, the enemy is just gonna take a bit of damage here. Not much, to be honest.
Enter freely and of your own will.
There we go. And I'll just get another ultimate out there. And see we clear that before anything even comes through.
Flesh of my flesh, blood of my blood.
And I think the next one we're gonna be slightly slower because we don't have Sergei's ultimate up just yet. We can take a bit more damage here. But beyond that, I think we're doing fairly alright. Alright, so now I'm gonna pop Sergei's ultimate again there. Because we do have enough rage to do so. I'm gonna pop Count Dracula's ultimate there. Get another ultimate here. We should be able to land the last ultimate pretty quickly. And kill off the mob before it can even reach us. There we go. So he takes 2 ticks of damage there. And then we have the whole team set up now.
My prayers will guide you.
The road to flaw, convert, destroy.
My prayers will guide you.
Just get another ultimate out there.
Prayers will guide you.
There you go. His timings are a bit bad here. Wukong ultimate is a bit late. Yeah. But let's just see if you can survive through the end.
Prayers will guide you.
All the ultimate up.
My prayers will guide you.
The road to flaw.
We'll just get the Sergei ultimate there. You can see that's the beauty of him. He can pop multiple ultimates, which just make him a bit more reliable. So even with an A5 Count Dracula here, we still get that tick
My prayers.
earlier than he did. The problem is just our Valdron is not hitting anything at all, so you can see he's actually short on rage there.
The flaw.
Just gonna pop the ultimate there. We get Valorons out.
Will guide you.
Flesh of my flesh.
I believe
My blood.
Sergei should get one more stack here after taking damage.
My
Doesn't.
prayers will guide you.
Floor. Convert.
We're a bit slower there, but that's fine. You can see the team is going toe to toe with A5 Dracula. So it definitely works out in this normal lineup where you just replace him directly. Just cast the ultimate here so that we don't get stuck on the other run.
My prayers will guide you.
And once this guy comes through, just gonna cast the ultimate.
Children of the night.
And then we're gonna do one ultimate here. And then one more repeated one.
Floor. Convert. Destroy.
There you go. You can see that Wukong's ultimate is barely up.
Guide you.
And Sergei has already punched the crit. So yeah, not the best showcase because his wave 6 was a bit slower than usual, but I do believe that we had the upper hand. And I can see that Sergei is doing most of the damage here because we did deploy him much earlier on. The A1 makes a huge ton of difference in terms of getting the ultimate up more often. Because more stacks of key means the more refreshes you get and you'll be able to do that more consistently. And bear in mind, this was A3 Valderon, A3 Dracula, and A1 Sergei, while we have A5 on the opposite side for everything. So considering all that, it did go up pretty well. And you can see that Sergei's ultimate does do quite a hefty chunk of damage. But once again, it's test server arena, so maybe on the live server he'll do less damage, but even then, I think with proper builds and everything, he should still be doing quite decently. So yeah.
Mistakes.
Alright, so that's the showcase for Sergei. We've used him in Abyss, Malriks, as well as Arena in 2 different rotations. And safe to say that this guy is very strong as a single target unit. But you do have to keep him on quite a low HP for him to do damage. I think it's quite similar to Dracula in the sense that most of his damage is going to be coming out of the ultimate. Beyond that, you're not going to be able to see much use for him if, let's say, you're not gaining enough of the key stacks to burst more units down, or if, let's say, you're not keeping him at low HP, then he's not going to benefit as much. Because you can see that in the Malriks instance, where we could keep him at low HP, he did pretty well, especially in the last 2 waves where, you know, he could two-shot the Inquisitors with just 2 ultimates. And the same case in the Arena showcase. I know it's quite subtle, but you can also see the difference in damage when he was used as a tank with Earlis versus just as a tank with no healers at all, relying on his shields and ultimate to actually stay alive. Now, I do want to say that that is probably not going to be the same case as what we see on Live Arena. Probably not going to see him used in that fashion. Probably going to see the Earlis route, so just replacing Wukong directly. The one thing that I just couldn't really figure out is each cast of the ultimate increasing damage by 75%. We didn't manage to see this buff pop out, so I have to assume that it's just going to be for the ultimate. And his ultimate has a pretty long casting animation, so it is pretty clunky to spam it. But it is way faster than Wukong, as you saw in single target arena. Wukong has to take time for all the different clones to actually hit at once. Whereas for Sergei, he is able to just, you know, cast his ultimate and instantly deal the damage there. And I think that's the difference between him and Wukong in terms of arena speed. Where speed is the name of the game, Sergei is just gonna do way better. Now, the thing about him is that awakenings wise, he does have some pretty decent stuff. I'm still a bit unsure about what War Sunder actually does, because I don't really see what the extra damage, the extra 50% damage one time really means. And I also can't really see a reason why you'll use the execute, especially in the areas that we're using him. Now, The A5, however, is very, very good because single target damage increase, we don't really get much of this nature of buffs here. And single target damage increase is gonna apply to just him, as well as Count Dracula and Valderon, for instance, in Arena. So that's definitely going to help out quite a fair bit, because that's one of the areas where you have attacks, you have allies within 2 tiles around him, and the fact that this lasts for 10 seconds means that you can keep it up pretty consistently, the same way that you can keep up his A1 consistently, because he's always going to be taking damage in single target arena, and 20% attack is not shabby at all. So if you ask me, it is kind of similar to what we have with Valara, where A1 is a super good awakening, A5 is great as well, but A3 is the one that's a bit quirky, not sure where it fits in. I think Execute is the big plus point here, but I just don't see in the areas that we are having him in the game where the Execute is needed. And last but not least is the fact that this guy is chaotic and nightmare, which means that you would not be able to pull him just, easily like this, because there's no guarantees for non-lords at all. It also very much depends on who he is going to be paired with on banner. We know that the Assassin's Crit collab is coming soon, and if they do a mechanic similar to Count Dracula, then you want 90 Ancients saved up at the very least. So that's the other point to consider. We'll have to see who he's paired with and when he's going to come into the game, and then from there we can then decide whether or not do we need him. I do think that he'll be much better than Wukong in Arena, but I think if you have A5 Count Dracula, you can probably make up for that fact compared to, say, someone who's using Wukong, for example. I think there could still be a chance to Apex Arena even without him, but who knows? We'll have to see him on live arena, especially with the mobs differences. We might be able to see whether or not he still stacks up in comparison to Wukong. So yeah, if you have any questions, leave it down in the comment section below. Whether is it about any other testing or areas that you want to see Sergei in, let me know and I'll be more than happy to test them out. And if you enjoyed the content, feel free to leave a like or subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.